where learning comes alive. Master your world with Wise Bookworm. Embark on a journey from Class 5 to Class 12, where every concept comes alive, every concept visually explained.
Dreaming of becoming a CA? Learn smarter with Wise Bookworm.
CA, CLAT. Big dreams. One smarter way to learn.
From Class 5 to CA and CS, unlock your premium learning universe. Premium learning, zero cost. Visit wisebookworm.com today.
We spend years learning mathematics, science, history, languages, geography, and economics. We learn how plants make food, how countries are formed, how equations work, and how the human body functions. We learn facts, formulas, and definitions. We prepare for tests, write examinations, and collect marks. But there is one subject we rarely study properly, the most fascinating subject of all: ourselves. Why do we forget something we studied yesterday? Why do we suddenly become motivated when an exam is tomorrow? Why does one negative comment stay in our minds all day? Why do we care so much about what other people think? Why can we play a game for 3 hours but struggle to study for 20 minutes? Why does someone else's 90% sometimes make our 90% feel like failure? Behind all these questions is something extraordinary. A machine more complex than anything humans have ever built. A machine you carry with you every single day. Your brain. And today, we're going inside it. Welcome to The Curious Mind. A journey through the hidden forces that influence the way we learn, think, choose, remember, compare, create, and grow. Because sometimes the most interesting classroom isn't the one you sit in. It's the one inside your head. Chapter 1. Why does your brain forget what you studied? You studied for 2 hours yesterday. You read the chapter, underlined important lines, made notes, and even told yourself, I know this. Then your teacher asks you the same question the next morning, and suddenly your mind goes blank. You know you've seen the answer. You remember the page. You remember the color of the heading, but somehow the answer is hiding somewhere inside your brain. So what happened? Did your brain fail you? Not necessarily. Your brain isn't designed to remember everything. Every second, you're surrounded by sounds, sights, conversations, notifications, images, words, and experiences. Your brain has to constantly decide what deserves attention and what can be ignored. Simply reading something doesn't guarantee that it will become a lasting memory. Your brain becomes much more involved when you actively retrieve information, explain it in your own words, connect it with something you already understand, and use it repeatedly. That's why closing the book and asking yourself, what did I just learn, can sometimes be more useful than reading the same page 5 times. Learning isn't simply putting information into your brain. Learning is building a path back to that information. So the next time you forget something, don't immediately say, I'm bad at this. Ask instead, what can I do differently so my brain remembers it? Because forgetting isn't always proof that you can't learn. Sometimes it's simply an invitation to learn differently. Chapter 2. Why do we procrastinate when we know we should study? You know you have an exam coming. You know you need to study. You know that if you don't start now, tomorrow will be even more stressful. And yet suddenly, your desk desperately needs cleaning. Your water bottle needs filling. Your pencils need organizing. One message needs checking, then one video, then another, and somehow, 40 minutes have disappeared. Why do we do things we know we shouldn't? Procrastination is often called laziness, but the story is more complicated. Sometimes a task creates discomfort. A difficult chapter can make you feel confused. A large assignment can feel overwhelming. The possibility of failing can make beginning uncomfortable. So the brain searches for something easier, something that provides an immediate reward. Your textbook says, work now, reward later. Your phone says, reward now. And your brain has a natural attraction to immediate rewards. This is why starting small can be powerful. Don't tell yourself, I have to finish this entire chapter. Say, I'll do one question, then another, then another. You don't always need motivation before you begin. Sometimes, motivation appears because you began. The hardest part of climbing a mountain isn't always the climb. Sometimes it's taking the first step. Chapter 3. Why does time feel faster as we grow older? Think about being 8 years old. A summer vacation seemed endless. Waiting for your birthday felt like waiting for another lifetime. 1 week could feel enormous. But as we grow older, something strange happens. Weeks disappear. Months disappear. Suddenly, another year has passed. Has time actually become faster? No. A minute is still a minute. But our experience of time can change. When you're young, many experiences are new. Your first school, your first trip, your first bicycle, your first competition, your first major friendship. Your brain encounters novelty everywhere. New experiences create distinctive memories. But as life becomes more repetitive, many days begin to look similar. Wake up. School, homework, screen time, sleep, repeat. And when you look backward, those days can blend together. Maybe that's why one of the best ways to make life feel richer is to keep discovering. Learn something you've never learned. Visit somewhere you've never been. Talk to someone different. Try something that scares you a little. Create memories. Because you cannot slow down time, but you can make your experience of it richer. Don't simply let time pass. Give it something worth remembering. Chapter 4. Why do we get addicted to our phones? Have you ever unlocked your phone without even knowing why? There isn't a new message. Nobody called. Nothing important happened. And yet your hand reaches for the phone again. Why? Your phone doesn't just provide information. It provides a possibility. Maybe there's a message. Maybe someone liked your post. Maybe there's a new video. Maybe something exciting happened while you were away. Maybe the next thing you see will be fascinating. That uncertainty can keep your attention coming back. And this is where something important happens. Your phone is a tool. It can teach you, connect you, help you create, help you research, help you explore. The problem begins when the tool starts controlling the person using it. Ask yourself, am I choosing when to use my phone? Or is my phone choosing where my attention goes? Because attention is incredibly valuable. Whatever receives your attention repeatedly begins to influence your thoughts. Your thoughts influence your habits. Your habits influence your life. So don't only ask, how much time did I spend on my phone? Nej, what did I give my attention to today? Chapter 5. Why do some people learn faster than others? Walk into a classroom and you'll see different kinds of learners. One student understands immediately. Another needs 3 explanations. Someone else understands it after practicing at home. Does that mean one person is intelligent and another isn't? Not necessarily. Learning depends on many things: prior knowledge, attention, sleep practice, interest, environment, teaching methods, and learning strategies. Imagine two students facing the same difficult mathematics problem. One says, "I'm terrible at maths." The other says, "I don't understand this yet." That tiny word, "yet," changes the entire story. One statement turns difficulty into identity. The other turns difficulty into a temporary stage. Intelligence isn't simply knowing an answer quickly. Sometimes intelligence is the ability to remain curious when an answer doesn't come quickly. So instead of constantly asking, "Am I smart enough?" ask, "What strategy could help me understand this?" You don't have to be the fastest learner in the room. You simply have to keep learning. Chapter 6. Why do you suddenly remember everything? 5 minutes before the exam, it's the night before the exam. For 3 weeks, you've been saying, "I'll study tomorrow." Suddenly tomorrow has arrived, and something strange happens. Your concentration becomes intense. Your phone becomes less interesting. Your textbook suddenly looks extremely important. You remember chapters you thought you'd forgotten. Even your messy desk no longer bothers you. Why urgency can change attention. When consequences become immediate, distractions can become less attractive, and the brain can prioritize the task in front of you. But there's a catch. Feeling intensely focused doesn't necessarily mean you're learning efficiently. Last-minute studying can create the feeling of productivity, but deep understanding usually benefits from repeated exposure, practice, and retrieval over time. Think about building a house. You can build the walls quickly, but you still need a foundation. So don't make panic your study plan. Use urgency as a spark, not as your entire fuel supply. A deadline can make you move faster, but consistency can take you further. Chapter 7. Why do you feel like everyone is watching you? Imagine walking into school after getting a haircut you don't like. You immediately think everyone is looking at you. You answer a question incorrectly. You spend the entire day thinking everyone remembers your mistake. You trip in front of your classmates. It feels like the whole world witnessed it. But here's the strange part. Most people probably aren't thinking about you nearly as much as you imagine. Psychologists call this tendency the pizza spotlight effect. Our tendency to overestimate how much other people notice our appearance, mistakes, and behavior. Why does it happen? Because you experience your own thoughts constantly. You know every awkward moment, every mistake, every insecurity. So it feels natural to assume everyone else notices them too. But they're busy thinking about themselves, their exams, their friendships, their problems, their own embarrassing moments. That mistake you think defines you may have disappeared from everyone else's mind 5 minutes later. You are the main character in your life, but you are rarely the main character in someone else's. And that isn't depressing. It's freedom.
Where learning comes alive. Master your world with Wise Bookworm. Embark on a journey from Class 5 to Class 12, where every concept comes alive, every concept visually explained.
Dreaming of becoming a CA? Learn smarter with Wise Bookworm.
CA, CLAT. Big dreams. One smarter way to learn.
From Class 5 to CA and CS, unlock your premium learning universe. Premium learning, zero cost. Visit wisebookworm.com today.
Chapter 8. Why do we change when we're with friends? Imagine your friends suggest doing something. You're not completely comfortable with it, but everyone else is excited. Someone says, "Come on, everyone is doing it." And suddenly, you agree. Why? Because human beings are social creatures. We care about belonging. We care about acceptance. We care about what people around us think. We naturally observe others to understand what is normal. Sometimes that helps us. Sometimes it leads us somewhere we didn't actually want to go. That's peer influence. But independence doesn't mean rejecting everything your friends say. It means being able to stop and ask, would I still choose this if nobody else were here? Your friends can influence your habits, ambitions, confidence, and even your definition of success. Spend time around curious people, and curiosity can become normal. Spend time around people who work hard, and effort can become normal. Spend time around people who constantly complain, and negativity can become normal too. Your environment doesn't completely determine who you become, but it can influence the direction in which you walk. Choose your circle carefully. Chapter 9. Why does one mean comment stay in your head all day? Imagine receiving 10 messages. 9 are wonderful. 1 says, "Jasta, you're not good enough." Which one will your brain remember? Probably the negative one. Human beings have a tendency to pay greater attention to negative information. There are evolutionary reasons for this. Noticing threats was important for survival. But modern life is different. A rude comment isn't a tiger. A poor exam result isn't a physical danger. A rejection isn't the end of your future. Yet our brains can react as if these things are enormous threats. One criticism can overpower 10 compliments. One failure can make us forget months of progress. One rejection can make us question our entire identity. So when a negative thought appears, pause. Ask, is this true? Is this useful? Would I say this to someone I love? A thought can be loud without being true. And one person's opinion does not have the authority to define your entire life. Chapter 10. Why do great ideas come when you are not studying? Have you ever struggled with a problem for an hour? Nothing. You give up. You go for a walk, you take a shower, you lie down, and suddenly, wait, I know. Where did the idea come from? Your conscious mind may have stopped working directly on the problem, but your brain can continue making connections. Creativity often involves connecting information in unexpected ways. Sometimes intense focus is necessary. Sometimes stepping away creates the space those connections need. That's why ideas can appear while walking, drawing, listening to music, or simply staring out of a window. Rest isn't always the opposite of productivity. Sometimes rest is part of thinking. Your brain needs both concentration and space. So don't be afraid of strange questions. Don't be afraid of impossible ideas. Don't be afraid to ask, what if? Because almost every invention, discovery, and creative breakthrough began with someone wondering whether something could be different. Chapter 11. Why does getting 90% feel bad when someone gets 98%? Imagine getting 95%. You're happy, you worked hard, you feel proud. Then someone says, I got 98. Suddenly, your 95 feels smaller. But what actually changed? Your marks didn't change. Your effort didn't change. Your achievement didn't change. Only your SATA comparison point changed. The human brain often evaluates success relative to other people, and there will always be someone ahead of you in something. Someone will have higher marks, someone will run faster, someone will have more followers, someone will have more money, someone will start earlier. If your happiness depends on always being ahead, you have created a finish line that keeps moving. So try another comparison. Compare yourself with yourself. Are you better than you were 6 months ago? Do you understand something now that confused you before? Are you more disciplined, more confident, more curious? Success isn't always about being ahead of someone else. Sometimes success is simply moving forward from where you started. Chapter 12. Why does your favorite song give you goosebumps? Why can a song you've heard 50 times suddenly give you chills? Why can one melody instantly remind you of a person, a place, or a moment from years ago? Music has an extraordinary relationship with the brain. It connects with memory, emotion, anticipation, and reward. Your brain begins predicting what will happen next in a song. When the music surprises you in just the right way, that prediction can create a powerful emotional response. And because music becomes connected with experiences, a familiar song can act almost like a time machine. One melody can take you back to a childhood birthday, a school trip, a friendship, a difficult moment, a celebration, a place you haven't visited in years. Sometimes music is memory wearing a melody. So the next time your favorite song gives you goosebumps, remember that you're experiencing one of the most fascinating conversations between sound, memory, and emotion. Chapter 13. Why do you laugh when someone else starts laughing? Your friend starts laughing. You don't even know why. They laugh harder. You start laughing. Then another person joins. Soon the entire room is laughing and nobody remembers what was funny. Why? Human beings constantly respond to the emotional signals of people around them. We observe facial expressions, voices, body language, behavior, and our own emotional state can shift in response. That's part of being social. The same principle can work with other emotions too. Spend time around enthusiasm, and you may become more energetic. Spend time around constant negativity, and it can affect your own outlook. This doesn't mean other people control your emotions. It means humans influence one another more than we realize. So think about what you bring into a room. Your smile, your encouragement, your kindness, your curiosity. Someone else may need exactly that energy. Emotions can travel through a room without saying a single word. Chapter 14. Why does everyone suddenly want the same thing? 1 week, nobody seems interested in something. Then suddenly, everyone wants it. Everyone is talking about the same song, the same game, the same shoes, the same phrase, the same creator, the same trend. How does something become popular so quickly? Trends can spread through imitation, social influence, communities, media, and algorithms. Once people see other people paying attention to something, the attention itself becomes interesting. Everyone is talking about it. So you start talking about it too. The more people participate, the more visible it becomes. And the cycle continues. But here's the question worth asking. Do you actually like it? Or do you like the feeling of everyone else liking it? You don't have to reject every trend, but don't surrender your judgment to popularity. Popularity tells you what many people are watching. It doesn't automatically tell you what is valuable. A curious mind explores. A wise mind evaluates. Chapter 15. Why do you remember an embarrassing moment for years? You said something silly in class 3 years ago. Nobody else remembers it. You probably wish you could erase it. Yet your brain occasionally replays the moment in incredible detail. Why an emotion can make experiences more memorable. When something feels socially important or embarrassing, your attention can become intensely focused. Your brain may be trying to learn from the experience so you can avoid something similar in the future. But sometimes the lesson has already been learned. You don't need to keep punishing yourself for something that happened years ago. And here's another truth. Everyone has embarrassing moments. The confident person, the successful person, the brilliant person, the popular person, everyone. Being embarrassed doesn't mean you're foolish. It means you're human. Sometimes the best way to become less afraid of embarrassment is to realize that nobody else is keeping score as carefully as you are. Chapter 16. Could your brain be lying to you right now? Look around. You're seeing reality, right? Mostly. But here's something fascinating. Your brain isn't simply recording the world like a camera. It is interpreting information. Your eyes receive signals. Your ears receive sounds. Your brain combines those signals with memories, expectations, and previous experiences to construct your perception. That's why optical illusions can fool us. It's why two people can experience the same event differently. It's why expectations can influence what we notice. Your brain constantly tries to make sense of incomplete information. Most of the time, that's incredibly useful. But sometimes your assumptions become mistakes. You see what you expect to see. You hear what you expect to hear. You interpret someone's expression based on how you already feel about them. So remember, seeing is not always the same as understanding. That's why curiosity requires humility. Sometimes the smartest thing you can say is, maybe I'm wrong. Let me look again. Chapter 17. Why does your brain love a good story? Why can you forget 10 facts from a textbook but remember a story someone told you years ago? Why can a character in a film feel almost like a real person? Why do stories stay with us? Stories organize information into something meaningful. There is a beginning, a problem, a struggle, a decision, a consequence, a result. Facts tell us what happened. Stories help us understand why it mattered. Imagine being told a company lost millions of rupees. That's information. Now imagine hearing about a teenager who built a small business from home, made a terrible mistake, nearly lost everything, and then figured out how to rebuild. Suddenly you care. The information has become a human experience. That's why stories can make education powerful. Science has stories. History has stories. Economics has stories. Entrepreneurship has stories. Even mathematics has stories. Facts tell us what? Stories help us understand why. Maybe the oldest learning technology in human history isn't a computer. It's a story. Chapter 18. Why is it so hard to make a decision? Imagine choosing between two subjects, two careers, two courses, two colleges, even two ice cream flavors. You think about it. Then you think about it again. You search online, you ask your parents, you ask your friends, you watch videos. Now you have 20 opinions, and somehow you're more confused than before. Why? Because every choice contains uncertainty. And the human brain doesn't particularly enjoy uncertainty. We want to know which option will produce the best future. But important decisions don't come with guarantees. There is no magical button saying, perfect choice. Sometimes the goal isn't to make a perfect decision. It's to make a thoughtful decision. Understand your options. Know your priorities. Consider the consequences. Gather enough information, then choose. And once you choose, put your energy into making that decision work. A good decision isn't necessarily the one with the perfect outcome. It's often the best decision you could make with the information you had at the time. Chapter 19. Why is it so easy to believe something we already agree with? Imagine you strongly believe something. Then you see an article supporting your opinion. You immediately think, exactly, I knew it. Then you find an article saying the opposite. Suddenly you become suspicious. Maybe the source is wrong. Maybe the writer is biased. Maybe they don't understand. Why? Humans naturally tend to notice information that confirms what they already believe. This is known as confirmation bias. It can influence what we read, what we watch, who we trust, and even how we understand our friends. The danger isn't simply being wrong. The danger is becoming so comfortable with our beliefs that we stop testing them. Curiosity means being willing to investigate information that challenges you. You don't become smarter by collecting only evidence that proves you're right. You become smarter by asking, what would change my mind? A truly curious mind doesn't only ask, where is the evidence for my idea? It also asks, what evidence would prove me wrong? That question takes courage. And intellectual courage is one of the most valuable skills you can develop. Chapter 20. Why does failure feel like the end of the world? You prepare for an exam and don't get the marks you expected. You audition and don't get selected. You apply for something and get rejected. Suddenly, one event seems to tell you everything about your future. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe everyone else is better. Maybe I'll never succeed. But failure is an event. It is not an identity. A failed experiment can provide information. A rejected application can reveal something you need to improve. A poor examination result can show you where your understanding needs work. Failure doesn't automatically make you stronger. What you do with failure is what creates the learning. Think about a child learning to walk. They fall, they get up, they fall again. Nobody looks at a 1-year-old and says, walking clearly isn't your talent. Give up. We understand that falling is part of learning. Somewhere along the way, we become afraid of being seen failing. But remember, failure is not the opposite of learning. Failure can be one of its greatest teachers. Don't ask only, did I fail? Ask, what did I discover because I failed?
Where learning comes alive. Master your world with Wise Bookworm. Embark on a journey from Class 5 to Class 12, where every concept comes alive, every concept visually explained.
Dreaming of becoming a CA? Learn smarter with Wise Bookworm.
CA, CLAT. Big dreams. One smarter way to learn.
From Class 5 to CA and CS, unlock your premium learning universe. Premium learning, zero cost. Visit wisebookworm.com today.
Chapter 21. What if you never stopped being curious? Imagine a child looking at the moon and asking, why does it follow us? Another asks, why does the sky change color? Another wonders, how does money get into a bank? Another asks, why do people behave differently when they're with friends? These questions may sound simple, but hidden inside them are science, psychology, economics, history, technology, and philosophy. That's the extraordinary thing about curiosity. A small question can open a huge door. Curiosity doesn't mean knowing everything. It means being willing to explore what you don't know. It means asking better questions, challenging assumptions, listening to different ideas, testing what you believe, staying interested even when the answer isn't immediate. School can teach you what is already known. Curiosity encourages you to explore what you haven't discovered yet. And perhaps that's the most important lesson of all. You don't have to know everything to become extraordinary. You simply have to remain curious enough to keep discovering. Final chapter, The Curious Mind. There are thousands of things you will learn in school. Some will appear on an exam. Some will help you get into college. Some will become useful in your career. And some facts you learn may eventually disappear from memory. But if there is one thing worth carrying with you long after the textbooks are closed, let it be this. Stay curious. When you don't understand something, ask why. When you fail, ask what it can teach you. When someone disagrees with you, ask what you might be missing. When everyone follows the crowd, ask whether you want to follow too. When something seems impossible, ask what would happen if you tried. When you achieve something, don't immediately look around to see who did better. Look back, look at where you started, look at what you have learned, look at who you are becoming. Your mind is not a finished product. It is constantly learning, adapting, questioning, remembering, forgetting, creating, changing. Every book you read, every conversation you have, every mistake you make, every skill you practice, and every question you ask becomes part of your journey. And maybe the greatest advantage you can have as a student isn't perfect memory. It isn't perfect marks. It isn't perfect confidence. Maybe it's something much simpler, the courage to say, I don't know, the curiosity to ask, why? And the determination to continue until you can say, now I understand. This is Wise Spark. This is the curious mind. Questions, 21 discoveries. One extraordinary journey inside the human mind, because the world is full of answers. But the people who change the world keep asking better questions. So stay curious. Keep learning. Keep wondering. Keep challenging what you think you know. And never let your mind stop asking what if until the next spark.
Where learning comes alive. Master your world with Wise Bookworm. Embark on a journey from Class 5 to Class 12, where every concept comes alive, every concept visually explained.
Dreaming of becoming a CA? Learn smarter with Wise Bookworm.
CA, CLAT. Big dreams. One smarter way to learn.
From Class 5 to CA and CS, unlock your premium learning universe. Premium learning, zero cost. Visit wisebookworm.com today.